Hello, today I'm doing the explanation for this. I said I'd be busy, but I'm not that busy. So here it is. I'm in my explanation world. Should probably turn that down a bit. This from previous video, I think. 7x7 funnel. Yep, I just remembered I improved it. Never mind, this is the improved version. In the previous video the closing was a bit slower, but now it's a bit quicker. Approximately 11 ticks quicker or something. So yeah, 7x7 funnel. Not much to say. This explanation of it. So, it's like 1008 blocks or something. No, it's 1880 blocks. Nope, just 1800 blocks. Right. So you need a what? 3, 6, 9, 12, 16 by 8 by tool area, roughly. Yeah. I was gonna empty this. I'll empty my inventory. Make things a bit easier. Not the shovels though. They're useful. So this is what you need. These redstone items, this can be, it's used over here, so can be a note block, I think, or what they called activator rail, or a bulb, or yeah, I think that's what that can be. This can be, I forgot where the tripwire hook is used, but it's just a redirector. Yeah, it's over here. You can make it a trap chest if you want, but the tripwire hook is just quite nice. Then for the cauldrons you need 3 bottles, because they need to be filled up any level. One there, and one there. Apart from that, not much to say. Furnaces need items in them. I didn't bother to figure out what items, so just get some shovels and random blocks like that. This is the only sort of specific one. It needs a signal strength of 2. Yeah, like the barrel might be easier. And then all these building blocks, this is what's used in this door, which means not a full way. Yeah, glass can be any block that is transparent. It's used in those sliders. These transparent, those are removable. Yeah, not much else to say, I think, apart from let's build the layout. So first is the singles. The singles, basically the side does as many as it can, and then because the bottom is very limited in how it can power the singles, and the top is also a bit, so it's like that. Because we've got only 2 blocks here, if we say had that piston, it'd be really hard to power that, and this and this. So instead we've got this. It's already quite hard. You have to use this weird double extender thing to get that middle block. Yeah, which was a pain. Then we've got the doubles, so 3 doubles there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 doubles, I think. Well, they have to make this sort of ring. So yeah, those doubles, and then 3 more up here, and then triples. So 1 triple here, 3 triples on the side, 1 triple in the top, and then 3 more on this side. And then we've got the quad, which is a folded quad to shave the top there, and also the fold really isn't that hard. So that's the layout. Pretty standard. It's tiny compared to the actual door. And then we've got inputs. So the inputs to the singles and the side doubles are 2 sliders. I'll just use normal glass. I think I've got this. Anyway, so we have this sort of setup, I think. I'm trying to look. Oh, it's like this. Built this door not too long ago, but long ago that I can't really remember all of it. So it's like that, and then we have a slab there, and then 2 redstone blocks with dust on. Just power all these blocks when they're in the position they aren't now. That makes sense. And then same thing on this side. The sides are basic. They're not the same, but they're pretty close. So those are those inputs, and then so when that slides up, it powers the back pistons. This one does these singles. So yeah, and then we've got the my mouse sensitivity is a bit crazy. Don't know what's happening. And then we've got this is like the piston inputs, and then we've got a bunch of stuff to go around them to power them. Yeah. So one of the things is we have this sort of the triples work like that, and then that's how the sequence goes. Fairly normal, I think. And yeah, so this is how we power that. Oh, and then we have to power these basically at the same time, and then this with a 2-tick to do that extension, and then I'm really worried that this is locational. Not sure. Can that update that? No. Okay, never mind, it's fine then, I think. So that's that. It does sort of the extension, and then we bring this up. So this repeater is powered, and then it goes up like this to push this down after a bit of time. So now if we power this, we get that sort of thing. We then need to 1-tick these, which happens like that. Can be quite a lot of resetting. So now we have that, and then we just use these inputs. I think these are 2 ticks. Like that. Except it's timed a bit better, I think. Yes, because that's dust like that, doesn't power that. So yeah, and then this I think is a 3-tick. down here. Yeah. Oh, it turns out this isn't redstone block. It can be, but it just gets powered like that in the final door to maybe be a bit cheaper. Now we've got that, and then we power that, and then on the opening we do that. Except while that's like doing, before that's retracted, we then power that again, and then 2-tick this, and then it's quite a nice sequence, I think. So yeah. Right, I'm gonna get rid of this. Don't know why I build it every time and destroy it every time, but I do. And then copy what's happening on this side. So I'm going quite quick just because why not? Oh, I forgot these. I'm going really quick actually. Oh well, sorry if you're doing this as a tutorial, but it's just the same as over there so far. I've messed up. Like that. So yeah. I'm not actually sure if it's a repeater. I think it's some torches in the actual. So those are sort of the side inputs, and then the bottom input I'm gonna build these out just to make it a bit easier to build. Like that. So the bottom triple, as you can see, uses a slider to power it. And then, yeah, like that. So if we fill this out, we also have to fill that out, which is a bit annoying, but well. This doesn't have to be solid, but I like making it solid for some reason. And then we have, so the reason we need these is because this is powered, which isn't movable, so that doesn't push along here. And then this acts as our pushing part, and then we have this. I think that's yeah, I don't know why that's a sticky piston. So you can make one of those normal if you want to save a slime ball. And then, so the way this works is we also have this, and we do that, and then do this sort of folded thing to push it over, except that's meant to pull beforehand. Mistake, I'm going to put a movable there. Now we've got this sort of thing, and then on the opening we do that, and then this does that, and this does the fold back again, like that. So that's those inputs. This double has a torch there to power that, and then these two doubles are carried by the slider somehow. And then these singles, they also have inputs that are slightly interesting. So I like that. And those also do those bottom things. And I think that's, oh, and then we've got a redstone block double here to do that. So that's all the inputs done to the pistons. Right, how do I go about doing this? I think we start with the sides, because most of the bottom leeches off of the sides, or the sides leeches off of the bottom. I'll get a red block. And then that goes there, I think. Yep. Inverted, because why not? This is not going to be a great tutorial because I've forgotten this a lot more than I've realised. So, yeah, so this is our input. There's more pieces here which makes them in sync. The reason why they're comparators because later on we're going to have this, and to power stuff, but we don't want it to power the whole door. So that's why we've got two dust here, so it doesn't reach the second one, and then over here there'll be an on dust to subtract it. So yeah. So the way we, this can be 2-ticked or 1-ticked, and I decided to 2-tick it. And it gets 2-ticked on both edges. So the way that is happening is like that. That's a 2-tick. So monostable. And then on this side, it's basically the same thing. There's a 2-tick there. I'm guessing that's a 2-tick. I'm gonna copy the whole door just so I can test it and then fix it really quickly because it's quite an annoying door. So that broke. And I don't know why. Because I put that the wrong way around. It's still broken. Because why? I made it a 2-tick. I don't know. Alright, now it should work. Yes, we get that. And then the next thing is power this really late. And we do this with a sort of torch setup. Which I can't remember. Yes, because this is on. That's why it's confusing. This is the wrong edge. Oh, good. That powers that dust, and then we can get up here, which we do like that. And the reason why we've got this torch thing is number one, so it's small, and number two, so we can make like a sort of circuit. So we do that and take that off. It does that, but then on the opening it goes basically as fast as it can off. And what we do is here we have a dropper circuit. So that just is like that, and then we stick an item in. This powers eventually by itself. And then the way that happens is with this dropper, a 4-tick I think, Yeah. And then this conveniently goes into that mode to do the other edge. So now we have a lot more of the sides done. So that goes like that, and then does that, and then the back gets powered again. We do need to pulse this though before this goes through, which we do with a slider sort of thing, which works like that. So if we update this, one takes that line. Very nice. And then the way we do that is by sort of unpowering this, because when this torch tower goes on, it powers this, which means when this powers, it's locked. Yeah, that's how that works. So now that pushes down. That is not good, because this is moved up one so the dust doesn't update the piston. And it still breaks. This should not be updating. I'm not really sure why it's updating. Here it doesn't. You can see what it's supposed to do. And then we've got that there just to make it a bit cheaper. I think that turning off is what's doing it. So why doesn't it do that over here? I like it when explanations go well. Oh, because of that. Wow, okay, I don't know how that happened. When I was wiring it, this came because of this piston, not because of the slider. Well, so we've got this here, I guess. So that blocks it before that torch updates it. Anyway, all of that is so that... I don't know why I'm slowing the game down so much. That just does a 1 tick. And then does that. Ready for... it's doing a 2 tick. And then that's the whole triple done. Right, so let's build it over here. So, torch tower time. Look, that's over here. Not doing a very good job, am I? And then do that to make it a bit cheaper. Remember to put that there. And then a dropper over here with our thing like that. That I think can do that. Put an item in. And then that. That needs a rail, this one doesn't, and I'm not really sure why. But that's how I think this dust updates it instead. Right, so that's both sides doing the same thing. Nice and quick closing. and then quite a lot of that. And then the next thing is to basically do that, I think. Oh no, it can be dust even faster. That just powers that. This is a 2-tick from there. And over here, it's not as nice. I think it's like that. Oh no, it's moved up one. Oh no, that is right. So that just does that 2-tick. It does on both edges, but on the closing, when this comes through, it's like it is on, so it doesn't do anything extra. And that's the side triples. Very nice. Most fun and most, maybe not most interesting, but my favourite part of the door. Sad the rest of the door couldn't keep up with the speed. Yeah. Those are the triples. Next is the bottom slider. Well, not the slider, I guess. But, the bottom. So what we do is we push that and then do that. And the way we do that is by powering that immediately, and then powering this a bit after. Actually, I will wait and do the slider first. So, how the slider works is straight into that. That's just the first thing that should happen. That is being constantly powered. Right, there's a torch there, which means when this dust powers, you can't see it, it will only power that and not be locational. So this turns off, and then that goes into a repeater, into a torch, and then this part went through about 1,000 redos, so I won't be able to remember it. That's a comparative. Okay, so it's like that. Right, that's comparative. Oh, that's annoying. So we've got this. These are 2 slabs. So what happens here is we push everything over again. This turns off, turning this off, and then 2 ticks later this 1 ticks because the torch powers, and then that powers this dust, which unpowers this torch, which cuts the pulse to here. Yeah. Except now this is off, which is why we have this to keep this back on. So now I'm saying all this. None of that is necessary. Because, yeah, anyway, that's what it is. So that 1 ticks this, and then we carry that 1 tick into powering this, and then that this can be a 2 tick, but then this will have to be a 1 tick, and that can't be a 1 tick, which is why it's a bit slower. So now it does the fold and then pushes 1, and then we have this dropper hopper here. This is the clamp of droppers in the door, which powers these 2 torches, which and then this gets powered by just put another item in there so I can power it. So that powers that on, which takes the item out and back in, which turns the torches on and off, which does the slider pistons when they're there. Right, so if we flick, we will see all that not happen. So this turned back on. I'm not sure why. Oh, this powered immediately. Maybe that's not a one tick. Oh, it is. I think I built it right. Oh, there's... Right. My bad. This block there is what I thought powered that, but it just gets powered through there, and that doesn't power that. Right. So, now it should work. Does that, pushes over, pushes over, pushes over, pushes over. Very nice. Right. And also, while that's pushing over, this needs to retract at basically the perfect time. So the way we do that is by budding it, which will mean it retracts at the perfect time. With very little bed, so it can keep pushing like that. Right, so now we've got that, let's do the pushing backwards the other way. Because that's a 2 tick. Because that, yeah, the next thing to do. So this is very similar, except that instead of pulling the block, it pushes the block, and there's a torch there. How has this happened? Oh yeah, it's the other edge. Alright, so that is currently on because the lever's not flipped. So we've got that, and then that. Yeah. Oh, this is a furnace for later. Right, which means that is on, which is what we want, because all this like retracts itself. So, what happens here is on the closing, this happens, and then the opening, that happens. You get a 1 tick, and then that pushes over. That's to add a bit more delay. Right, next thing is to power this twice, and we do that like that, and then we've got let's move that there. We've got this, which is sort of like the bottom, sort of like this circuit. And you get in 3x3s, and it just power this twice and then power that, and the way that all works is with this comparator, which will do that, and so that's on. This has how much delay? 1 tick, okay. Right, so yeah, this powers by this block and then gets updated by something. It might just power. Right, and that will power this and then retract it from with that, and then do the thing. So if we power this, nearly retracts, we just have to do that. And then we've got that. And then if we don't have that and fill these in, you can see that goes across, pushes that, that goes and pushes. That feels a bit slow. I guess that's how it is. And then to do this, this also does a pulse. It doesn't keep the item in there, actually it does, because there's a torch there. That torch carries on. And then we need to bud this, like I said before, which we do with this, which we do comparator redoing a furnace, which I think it's done like that. Nope, it's not. Another hopper. So that's powering the dropper, which knocks the hopper. And that keeps that one to do the budding and stuff. So now we've got that, that breaks low. As you can see, it tries to push over anyway. So the way we keep this, the way we retract that is with just repeaters going into a dust, except those aren't the timings on the repeaters because it's a dropper, hopper, and this is a torch. Sort of feels like I haven't made this door. Right, so that does all that, and then, yeah. So now, you push over, it tracks properly, and does the extending thing. Oh, and I forgot, never mind. So, next is to do the bottom triple, like pushing up, preparing for that to slide over. And the way we do that is by doing that, except longer pulse, and then that. So this piston gets powered by that. This piston gets powered by that, I'm pretty sure. I'm not sure if that's where the updater is though. Oh, the updater's there. So that just does that. And then we've got this sort of setup. Oh, it's like that. I think. Set these are the other way around. So what this does is, oh, we've got a piston here. I mean, a repeater there to push that over, and then that like that, and also put that there. A torch there, which goes up and just number one, powers this ceiling block, which does the double extension. Number two, it powers this fairly quickly. Yeah, 2 ticks after this turns off, and then that powers on, and then this then on the opening this turns off after quite a while, after this is pushed over, and then this retracts that block after a bit longer. That needs to be a shovel. To reach the 2 dust. So we've got that. And then that. Did I? So yeah, that's the extension and some of the retraction. What happens next is we could finish, let's finish the closing. So that means doing the singles. And that's why I have this furnace so we can read it, and then just this one gets powered by that torch, and then that by that block, and then these two by this double. And the way the double works is it's a bit strange. Most people, I feel like, would assume you just extend it on the closing and retract it on the opening, but we sort of like pulse extend it, which short pulses that, and then on the opening we do the same thing and then retract it. It's just what I could fit. Is that a 1 tick? Yeah. So we get the 2 pulses from here. And then that. Yeah. And then we also have another furnace, put an item in there. This one gets retracted like that. So that's that done. And then this will get powered eventually, which will do this fold and stuff. So what happens is the closing, this goes through before this retracts and just does this. And it's a 2 tick from earlier, so it does that. And then the redstone block here has left. That's like that. Which means that this is on, and that gets updated somehow. And then on the opening, this goes through again, except this time this piston is retracted, which does that, and then these repeaters retract that, and this switches off. So what we will hopefully see is these 2 doubles also now mostly work. This doesn't really work. Yeah, and that's how that retracts, and then we power that, and then when this is over and we power it, that's what does that. Right then, so onto that, I guess. So right now with it, that gets extended and then blooded by that dust. Keeps it extended, and that means we can power this to update it and to retract it to give that a pulse. And how we do that is like that. So that just goes through that after a while. Except it doesn't work for some reason. This needs to be solid. And then still doesn't work. Oh, then it works. That shouldn't have taken that long, I don't think. Yeah, here it happens really quickly. So I don't know why that was so slow. Because these are the wrong way around. Yeah, the outer ones need to be facing up. That means outer one's facing up, put an item in there, lock that, do that. Same So now we'll see that goes like that, and then powers that briefly. That also went a bit strangely. Yes, that happened. That's quite funny. That's because that dust is not there anymore. And because this is 15, it will go through. Even though that's 15. Right. So now, so that gives us a pulse there. And then we carry this. And then actually, we go all the way back here at a 4 tick. At least I think it's 4 tick. So that on the closing does nothing, and on the opening it makes these power again, which powers this dust, which we can see what that does. So that extends doing that, and then that powers. Except we don't want that to long pulse, so we cut it like that. It's with a 2 tick or something, probably. Yep. So that will cut it and it will work, and then in the meantime let's add this 2 tick and these updaters, which will keep that on 2 ticks longer, so it will retract properly. So that does that, and then retracts, and as you can see that extends and does that, which is what we want it to, because now we have this sneaky piston in, and that's why we have this repeaters to power that before this comparator would power it, which means that happens, which is why we place the updater. I forgot about, not the updater, the blocker just extends on the closing, and then we can see that piston gets pushed out at the last moment, so the top piston gets powered and that double, and then that retracts, and then we get another furnace, 1 signal strength, that has to be, and then what's happening here is this will do that basically. Yeah. How much have I lost? Not much. Oh, we can't do that, it's observers. And then, oh, that's 4 tick and that's 4 tick. We need a lot of delay, it seems. So that will finish the triple. Nearly. Except it didn't, because that's a... What happened? I don't know. Let's port it. That's subtract mode, but that won't do anything. You'll also see it powers this, which is what we want. I'm going to take an item so that doesn't happen. And then not supposed to happen. Also, I just realised I forgot to explain how this even gets powered when it's pushed there. This is retracted by them, I think, and that powers it. Yeah. Right, well, I don't know why that doesn't work. It's a bit annoying. Oh yeah, because I forgot a crucial part. That's probably why. Because of the problem I just showed, we have to put these, and that gives 2 piston extensions worth of delay before that powers on. So that does a sort of retraction thing. So now we can see that turns on, but afterwards this pushes up with powers, and then we get that. This also messed up. That's because this powered before the fold retraction happened, and I will build the fold retraction thing and then explain it, because yeah. So we have a 3-tick here, and then a dropper hopper there, both in slabs, and that powers from this dust and doesn't do anything meaningful on the closing, and then on the opening it does a quick retraction before this gets powered, which pushes this up, and then the redstone block turns this off, which does this, and that retracts this double in time for it to be powered by this block under there. So that's the bottom done. Very nice. Now the top, which is not as cool. It's just loads of pulses and a very annoying way to input it, which is what we will do next. As you see, there's no space to input the top directly from the bottom, so we just take inputs from whatever's happening up here. On this side, that means taking input from this line, and on this side it means making a weird cauldron thing. With 2 obsidian. That just means when. So this powers from this thing, which means on the closing it does that, then on the opening it does that, and the 1-tick's blocked by this piston. And this blocks it when this is powering again. And then these are just movables, because why not? So that's the input here, and then on here it's just a bunch of pistons and stuff. Right, so the thing I'm going to do is get a barrier block so we can see the core. So the inputs are... This is basically the only input there is that you can call an input. I'm going to build this quickly. I think that's what it looks like. There's dust there. And oh yeah, okay. So this is like the main sort of, not main circuit, but this is part of it. So we power this from this line, just like that, I think. Nope, it's one up. stick a shovel or something in there that reaches everything. This turns this 2-tick into a 1-tick here. Very nice. So this, what this does is that doesn't look very promising until you add this 4-tick and something else which I've forgotten. This might be useful. There's nothing there. Right. This is why we have this 3-tick, which I didn't think was relevant yet. And then that is not how that works. Right, so now we can show what this does more properly. It does that. So this powers 1-ticks this, and then this 2-tick pushes over, and then this 3-tick powers this block, which buds this, and then this 1-tick goes through, does that. Then this repowers to power this a bit longer, and then retract the fold. And then we've also got that 3-tick there for later, which does one more pulse. So we do that in the door, and then we've got the double, which does that and then pushes down and retracts, and then we power this with some more pulses, and that basically does everything. So that's powered from there, both edges. So then we've got the double, which is powered from here. Into Right, so that's how that works. And then we have, I think, that. Oh no, we've got this. This was in a previous version, which keeps happening. So that's the double. So when this is on, so let's say that was powered, then this turns on. This dropper hopper basically turns this on after a while. Gives time for the double to activate, and then this repeater turns on. Which does that updates that. Now on the other edge, this has stayed held on a bit longer. And then it's just a normal double. Where did the updater go? Did it problem? An updater there. So does that. Then on the other edge does that. That also seems to power, which is why that says the dust. So that isn't a dust though. I guess that just powers, doesn't really matter. Right, so now we've got these, and then I'll flip the lever, and we've got the extension done. because this happens. We use this sort of hammer thing from before up here, so that powers, and then this a lot later. Then on the other edge, it goes the other way around. Except that would work. Yeah. Okay, well, that's that, I guess. Right, next is to remember I should have built this ages ago. That's more input for the middle double, and this double as well, I guess. And then we've got all these things. Oh, what did I mean? Like that, I think. So this just blocks this, so that when this updates from this powering, which is something I can build now actually, just that acts as a monostable. Yeah, which also updates these two pistons, which is nice. That just is powered differently, I forgot. So we toggle this with this. We need to toggle. Yeah. So let's build. This is where we get the cauldron. Which gives us another pulse, which we move on over to here. So the way the double works, if I can remember, is not like that. This gets one tick, right? And then that goes into signal strength 2 furnace, which is however many items. There we go. That many items. This is so because it powers this eventually. And then that goes into that. Feels like it should be on a slab. Might not be though. It is. That's a 3 tick. Same sort of thing as this double. This is what gives us a toggle. And then this is now confusing me. Yes, okay. So this dust and that dust turn at the same time. And then we also have that, which does this piston. And then goes through like that. So this one ticks, which spits these out, which means there is some block double can push over. Oh, so hot here at the moment. So that does this extension, and then on the retraction, this is held on for this single, which will have gotten one ticked and then powered by the redstone block as it moves past. Now we've got this didn't work. Because I forgot about a piece of dust that goes there. Is this down or up? That broke this side, I think. Right, so now that retracts, and then that retracts. And then all we have to do is that sort of thing to retract those. Except that second process will be longer than what I just did. Okay, so now is that works. Now's the triple time. Triple gets powered by this, and then we just have to power these repeaters, and then the redstone block double here does the rest. So, where does this power from? Well, it powers from somewhere I've forgotten. Before we do that, actually, let's go and finish this double, because I remember that. Turns out I don't remember it. No idea. So that buds the front piston, and then we have to power the back piston somehow, which I've forgotten how. Oh, we don't. Oh yeah, the back piston gets done by this slider. And then either we power the back piston and then these redstone blocks get care of the front piston, or we do the slider powering the back piston and then do the front piston ourselves. Front piston ourselves is the easier option, and that gets powered by what happens over here. Yeah. Okay. Back onto this part, which I've forgotten. This gets powered from... Ah, that does power it. Okay. I wasn't misremembering that much before. I remember when I placed this ages ago and then got rid of it. That's what powers that. And that does the triple. As well as this piston here. And then as you can see, this does a bit more. Okay, let's finish over here. So we've got the double pulse into there to do next. Which we do with that circuit probably looks about right. Is it 2 1-ticks? It is. So this just gives a 2-tick here after this is turned off, and that goes straight into there. And then like that, I think. Oh, this is also a 2-tick. So this powers this line twice in succession, which does that. Very nice. And it also handily goes down here, which does a bit more of the triple. And yeah, that's all. Next is, I can show this, I guess. So now a bit more happens. Ta-da! And all these retract. Brilliant. Let's actually go and that is like that, because we need space over here for actual repeaters, that gets powered by that dust and then goes into 2 vortex repeaters, which does the attraction of this block. Oh, that's annoying. Let's do that so that I can place that. How can I fit? So this is a place a comparator there, it's there, an updater there, walking piston there, which does the back piston. And then to do the front piston, we've got this piston there, this there, this on a slide, dust goes there, and then powers that piston, which does have an updater, and that updates this piston to retract quickly so that these can do, I don't know why, but yeah. And that will do this double. Also you see that has extended. And then that retracts. Then what do we have left for the closing? All the sides. So that's because we got about that dust, which slots in there, which powers that from the repeater. So that means we the backs of these 2 pistons will push over at the same time, nice and in sync. And now the door's closed, and then those update, that is not working. Why not? Because of that. That's on a slab, which means we can power that, and that updates that to turn off after this is turned on, I think. Right, next is to do this piston. If you watched before, when the redstone block here gets retracted up, it one ticks this, which means the ceiling will be like that after the door's open. We don't want that, so we add in a 1 tick repeater there, a bit on glass, which gets powered by that redstone block, which holds this on a bit longer. Right then. And that also does some magic, which makes this circuit work again, which it didn't before for some reason. So we can watch that again. So that goes, and then that goes, and then in the opening, that goes, then that goes, which does the circuit back, does the same circuit, does that. And then we just need to power this a few more times at the right times, and toggle the way we do that with this. This is toggle, this is 1 tick repeater, which then goes into loads more things. So that immediately, I'm going to make those glass, power that via more 1 ticks on a toggle, which already does decent amount more. Nothing extra on that edge. On this edge though, it does that, and then all we have to do, power that, retract that top piston, and then this will finish it off. And now this again, like, I forgot already what it was. 2 and 2. 2, 2. That's a repeater lock, which also powers that repeater. And now we get another pulse. Another very useful pulse. Like that, and then all we have to do is retract that, which we do with the rest of this space. We do it with a slider. Like that. Yeah, okay, that feels longer than I remember. That just powers this dust and that repeater at the right time. That has to be a 4 tick, doesn't it? So, yeah, this just is a slider. Pretty simple. And that is the top quad done. Except not really. Why did that happen? Because that's a 3 tick. Everything happens, and then we open it in slow motion. It retracts. That does that pulse, which is very useful. Does that. And that is the whole door, apart from the middle triple. And what do we do about that? Well, starters, we add 2 repeaters there, which does that pulse. Bit of a strange way. This does 2 quick pulses, which means it does 2 quick pulses into there. Which means this happens. And then all we have to do is power these repeaters again, which we do like so. That just powers at the right time. Does that? Brilliant. If we were allowed an updater there, say if I did that, then the triple would be as fast as the quad, I'm pretty sure. And it would all be nice and in sync. Oh, never mind. I guess not. Anyway, that's the door, I guess. Kind of just happened. That last bit was way quicker than I thought. And you got yourself annoyingly big 7x7 funnel. Well, it's observerless, so that's good. Yeah. Oh, you can make these slabs if you want. I don't know why you would. Yeah, don't really know what else to say. I suppose I should show filling in the hallway, because there's probably some things that could mess up if you do it wrong. So, you just fill it in fairly normally, I think. What's on here? 3 tick. This is not very interesting. But then that was 2 1-ticks. This is a 1-tick. This is 2 more 1-ticks. And we can fill this out. That's a dot, that's a repeater. And then the rest you can do like that. That is 1-tick repeater. Click that by accident. And then the floor. It's like that, and then you've got a better one. Yeah. Very cool. Thank you for watching. See you next time, I guess. Unless I record another video and post it before this one, but that won't happen. Goodbye.